Hi, I'm Jen Rotman, and if you have ever struggled communicating with your audience effectively in the online world, then I have great news for you. There's actually only 3 ways of how we can communicate with people, and that is the same offline as in online. And those 3 ways are simply the written word, audio, and video. Now, once you realize that there's only these 3 forms, you just need to ask yourself a question, which is, which form am I strongest in communicating my message to my target audience? So it's all about which one you feel most comfortable in. And the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make is they go with the market trends or what the experts are saying and what's kind of up and coming at the moment. And in my opinion, that's a mistake. You want to go with what you're strongest at. And if you're strong in all 3, then you go to what's kind of happening in the market. But you're always much better off starting with what you're strongest at and the way you can communicate your message to your target audience in the best way possible. So let's take a look at, all 3 forms and different examples of how you could use those on different platforms. So with the written content, if you want to write and you're really good at communicating your message through the written word, you have several different options. You can obviously start a blog and put up your own blog site and distribute it to different blog places. You want to get really good at SEO and looking into Google to make sure you're getting the maximum distribution. But you can also start a blog on Instagram. So long form kind of mini blogs do really well on Instagram, especially if you combine them with the good images and hashtags. So again, you can really look into that. You can write long form blogs on places like Facebook and use Facebook pages or even Facebook advertising to leverage that content. Or you could also write long form on LinkedIn. The most important thing with those, and I'll mention it later on again, is just knowing what mindset and the nuances of every different platform. So LinkedIn is going to have a different audience than Facebook is and how Instagram is. So just understanding that different people are on different platforms, and even the same people, even if we all are the same person and use the different platforms, we are in a different mindset when we're even using those different platforms. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're writing your content. Now let's look at audio. And audio is the newest one, which I think if you're really strong at audio, it's definitely got the most potential for the future. Now, obviously the obvious one to start with is looking into podcasting and then figuring out a way how you can really distribute that podcast to your target audience. Then you should also look at Anchor. Anchor is a really great app that's kind of a cross between radio and podcasting. And Alexa skills is another thing that you would definitely be good at looking into, and how you could create content for something like Alexa skills or Google Home, because again, that's a huge market that's up and coming. Now, finally, we've got video, and video, again, we can distinguish between a few different formats. You've got, traditional video, you've got live videos, and then you've got the kind of more story formats. Again, picking the one that you feel strongest with, that you can communicate your message best at. And then again, looking at the different platforms, and you have YouTube videos, you have Facebook videos, you have Instagram videos, you have videos on LinkedIn now. Again, it's going where your target audience is. And if you have your target audience in different places, just making sure that you create the content specific for that audience. Because like I mentioned before, we do have different mindsets when we're in different platforms, and you want to really make sure that your video resonates profoundly with that one that you're mainly trying to target, where your target audience is. So I really hope those tips have helped you and make it maybe a little bit easier if you're trying to communicate with your audience online. If you do have any questions, feel free to connect with me on any of the platforms. You can click the button below and get to my website. You'll see I'm pretty much on all the platforms. Again, whichever way you prefer communicating with me. I've got a podcast, I've got YouTube videos, and you can look me up on Instagram. And yeah, feel free to connect. I'm always happy to take any even specific questions, and I'll try and make some content around them if I can, because it helps me just as much as it helps you. So thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and speak to you soon.